Welcome back, everybody, to Niko's Comic Book Hauls and Reviews. I'm your host, Niko, and today I'll be showing off and talking about the books that I hauled throughout the month of January 2022. I'll be talking about the books that I have read previously prior to maybe picking these collected editions up, maybe some of the stuff that I read while I picked them up for the first time in that month, and some of the things that I've yet to read for the first time that I ended up picking up. And I'll be giving you my quick thoughts and reviews on these things while showing off the books. As always, thank you for tuning in. And if this is your first time checking us out on our new YouTube channel, the Late Night Collectors Community, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to see these videos come out monthly. I was a little late getting these last couple of videos out here of my monthly comic book hauls and reviews due to the fact that we've just transported all of our videos over from the Late Night Chat Network YouTube channel, which we're still under the banner of. And if you're unfamiliar with the Late Night Chat Network, please make sure to check out that channel as well if it interests you. But all of your comic specific videos, any of the things that we're that we collect, any of the hobbies that we're kind of into here out of all the Late Night Chat Network co-hosts, those videos will be on this channel here, and that is the main reason why we have now created this new YouTube channel to kind of isolate all of those videos together and put them in these playlists for you guys to enjoy. So if you're into collectible card games, comics, anything of that nature, make sure to check out the rest of our playlist while you're here on the channel. And that is here on the Late Night Collectors Community, of course. But yeah, make sure to hit that like button, hit that notification bell if you want to be notified about upcoming videos that will be coming out here. And yeah, like I said, share this with a friend. Make sure you're subscribed if you know somebody that's into comics. I try to put these out on time monthly, where I show off the collected edition comic books that I pick up throughout that month. And we also do a weekly comic book single issue review show here that I do with my buddy Chris on the channel. That is the Comic Shop Talk show, and we have a playlist for that up as well. We've done about 13 episodes so far, and that is where we talk about new single issue weekly comic books that come out, and the things that we read, we pick up, we give you ratings, reviews, or thoughts on them, and let you know what our favorite thing was that we read that week, as well as what we're looking forward to picking up next week. So yeah, make sure to check out that as well if you're into more of the single issue comic books that come out, if you're at the comic book shop every Wednesday, or if you're like myself and you kind of pick up a little bit of everything, a little bit of the collected editions, including omnibuses, the deluxe hardcovers, the paperbacks, things like that, as well as some of the single issue comic books that you can't wait on, that you need to know what's happening right away, then definitely check out these shows, guys. It's a lot of fun doing them, and we have lots of fun talking about them. So, all right, without further ado, though, let's get into the comic book haul for the month of January 2022, shall we? All right. Well, first off, I'll be showing off the books that I ended up reading that I picked up throughout the month of January 2022. And first off, we got The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. What a fantastic book, everybody. I mean, this is definitely, I think, reminded me of such other great books that I'm a fan of, as Day Tripper, which I absolutely love, only in the sense that it kind of has a lot to do with life and death. And yeah, I guess hence the name. But this was on a lot of best of lists at the end of this past year. That the book actually came out in 2021, but this paperback, I guess, just had come out at the start of 2022. So I was really happy to finally have read this, because I've heard a lot about this book. I've seen it on a lot of best of lists, seen it recommended by a lot of people. So yeah, this was a great book. Philippe Andrade as the artist on this. Ram V is the writer, and yeah, it has to do basically with death essentially not being able to operate for a period of time, and she ends up going back in time and having to stop the person that basically stops death from happening. Like someone cures cures death, essentially. Like someone finds the way to make it non-existent anymore. Like, so she's kind of given the opportunity to go back to the time of like inception, like when this kid becomes is born, and try to stop him there, and then has many other opportunities while he's growing up prior to the time of him actually finding out the solution and making death not a thing anymore in our lives. And in doing so, she's able to self-reflect on herself and the other people around her, and this kid's life, as she's able to kind of continue to pop in and out of his life as he gets older, and seeing where he's at that moment in time of his life, and really just coming to terms with everything, because now she kind of feels useless. She feels that she's not really needed anymore as a result, um of the fact that death is going to become something that she, like, while she feels it's an important thing to have because it's a part of life, and it kind of really just talks about life and death in that sense, and really with her experiencing life, for the first time, really, and by seeing him through the eyes of this guy from visiting him at different points in his life. So it was really, really well done. It's one of those books when you shut when you get to the last page and you shut the cover, and you're like, you're just sitting there and you're kind of soaking it all in, and makes you think a lot. And the art is just beautiful, and it was just really well done. Honestly, this deserved to be on a lot of the best of lists this past year. And I Ram V is a writer who's been up and coming this last couple of years. I think that's been making a name for himself. And while I don't like everything he's done, I've definitely dabbled and tried a bunch of the things that he's been writing over these last couple of years. This is probably the best thing I think he has written so far. So yeah, definitely highly recommended. The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. This is through Boom Studios, printed. I think it's only a $14.99 retail book. Yeah, so really you have no excuse. It's a cheap book. It's a little 5-issue miniseries, I believe, and it's just fantastic. Highly, highly recommended. Also highly recommended is The Six Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton, Volume 1, and I hope they do more. I mean, I haven't heard otherwise yet, but hopefully they do more, because this was written by Kyle Starks, art by Chris Schweitzer, a team that's worked together before on comics, and I really enjoy their work together, and as well as Kyle Starks' work, because he also writes and draws some of his own stuff as well. But I think Chris Schweitzer, I think these two just have have a way of working with one another that's like really I look forward to. I remember I really enjoyed, they did like a Mars Attack mini series together where he drew it and Kyle Starks wrote it. And I know that seems odd because, like, there's not really even, that many Mars Attacks comics anymore, I feel, at this point. But they did it a few years ago, and it was just a delight. Like, it was a nice little like mini series that came out through Dynamite Comics, I think it was, and it was just exceptional. I think these guys, what they bring to their work is a lot of humor. Like, they definitely, humor is subjective, but I think they do a really great job of it. And they could tell, like, Kyle Starks is in, like, 80 movies, action movies, and this kind of stuff through some of the stuff that he's done. So basically, this story is about this Trigger Keaton guy who has died, that was an action star, who is pretty much a complete asshole, essentially. And throughout this series, all of his sidekicks through different television programs that he's like, basically he's like a Chuck Norris type character. So all these sidekicks that he's had throughout some of the things that he's worked on in TV throughout the years have to come together and come to terms with his death. And they all share, well, at least almost all of them share the opinion that he was a huge asshole, and they've all kind of ruined their lives in one way or another. And it just kind of, and the newest person that just signed on to do a television show with him is the one that finds him dead, like he had hung himself. And they think it's like it was set up, that it was a murder, because how could this guy kill himself when everyone around him hated him. So they're convinced that somebody is the one that had to have killed him, instead of it being a suicide attempt. Suicide. So yeah, so then as you can see, like, some of the different sidekicks here, as they all come together at his funeral for one reason or another, they take it upon themselves to actually kind of figure out, get involved in this murder mystery, essentially, to figure out who essentially is the one who killed Trigger Keaton. So, and then it kind of goes from there, right? I mean, it's great cartooning, very funny, well-written characters, definitely a fast-paced and interesting story, great dialogue. Can't recommend it enough. I mean, I would give, if we're doing like a 5-star rating, I would give this one and the Denny Desalela Star 5-star rating. They're just two totally different books, but yet both really, really great. And I believe this was a 6-issue miniseries printed by Image Comics, and I hope that we get more. If not, you're new to Kyle Stark's work, I think, or Chris Schweitzer, I think this is the perfect jumping on point for you to check out their stuff. So really, really well done. Highly recommended also. And then we got the newest volume of Black Cat Infinity Score. This collects issues 8 to 10 of the 2020 Black Cat series and the giant size Black Cat Infinity Score issue. All written by Jed McKay, art by CF Villa and Brian Reber. they keep pumping out these volumes, and I'll keep picking them up, because this was a little unexpected surprise of a series, this Black Cat series, and really kind of probably my first foray into Jed MacKay as a writer, and he's been getting all these great gigs over at Marvel now, and I'm a really big fan of his writing at this point. He's proved his worth to me. And this Black Cat series has been a hell of a lot of fun. I just don't know how they continue to bring these out, because it's like they keep kind of finding ways to make him to get him to write these one-shot issues that Black Cat appears in them, hence the Infinity Score issue, that are going on in other events. Like the King in Black one was a volume of Black Cat, like, because she had her own mini series and this kind of stuff, because it seems like the Black Cat series keeps getting canceled. I guess it never found a big enough readership for it to continue, but it seems like it's relaunched twice. They've had these like mini little runs of like 10 issues or 8 issues or whatever, and these one shots or mini series that they keep combining into these paperback volumes. And hey, I'm here for it. I'm happy for it. I'm happy to pick them up. I thought this was another great, fun, enjoyable volume. I like Jed MacKay's writing. I like the artists that were involved in this series. And I just hope that we get more Black Cat, because once again, I don't think there's an ongoing series currently coming out of Marvel Comics. But if Jed MacKay continues to somehow find ways to write little mini series or one shots with the character, I think he has a great voice for her. And yeah, this one, yeah, hence the Infinity Score kind of title. It definitely does involve the Infinity Stones, as well as Star, I think is her name, is the character that Kelly Thompson created. He was like, I guess, sort of a villain for a period of time here. She shows up. Black Cat needs her for some sort of her newest heist. Everything always goes back to like her kind of trying to pull off a heist with her main group, her team of people that help her pull these heists off in this series, as always. But there's always some sort of ulterior motive or like last second kind of surprise of like what she's really after, or why she's usually pulling off this heist, because she's a good person at heart. So Black Cat, great series. And like I said, this is volume 6 in the trades that they've been coming out with them, and hopefully there's more. All right, then we got Symbiote Spider-Man Crossroads. Speaking of Black Cat, Felicia Hardy is actually with him in this timeline of getting the symbiote suit. This is written by Peter David, art by Greg Land. Now, I'm not a huge Greg Land fan on the art side of things, but the last volumes of Symbiote Spider-Man that I've actually, I think, talked about in these haul videos that I picked up, or if not, I really enjoyed. I think Peter David's been doing some great work lately. He's been coming out with these miniseries of the symbiote Spider-Man, kind of revisiting the character at this period of time, as well as a creator that's worked on him in the past, written some Spider-Man, and then also has been doing those Maestro miniseries, which have just been fantastic. Again, a character he created in those series with the Maestro. I mean, and something he's revisiting after so long, after working on the Hulk and Maestro and everything else back in the day. But he's been putting out some really great work. Again, Greg Land, a lot of photo referencey stuff usually, but I can accept it. A lot of the faces, definitely pulled from other places, and these series have looked fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a huge fan of his art, but I've been able to overlook it for the fact that these series have been fun. This was my least favorite of all the miniseries of the Symbiote Spider-Man that they've come out with so far. Now, I don't know if they have another one lined up. I don't know if it's been solicited as of yet. I'm just haven't been made aware of it. But I mean, I hope it doesn't end on this one, because I think these have been great, and this is definitely the weakest so far. For whatever reason, the characters that showed up in this one, or at least the plot, just felt very lazy or kind of thrown together, and I wasn't as interested in some of the surprise guest appearances by obscure type characters that he chose to show up in this one. I mean, yeah, sure, you got some Hulk and Doctor Strange stuff going on a little bit in here, but then you had like the Eternals show up, and I'm not really a huge Eternals fan, and so for me, this was probably just like, this was the weakest. I wouldn't say it was bad, but it was just, compared to the first 2 or 3 that he's done so far, it just didn't hit the levels of fun as those did, and yeah, so if you're going to pick up one of these Symbiote Spider-Man series, definitely don't use this as your first attempt to pick one up. Although any of them could be read on their own, I would say there is somewhat of a through line of the series. But yeah, the Crossroads, this collects issues 1 to 5. Don't make this your first one. There's a couple other really great ones I could recommend. I think there was just the first one called Symbiote Spider-Man, and then there was another one. Actually, let's take a look. They're probably both in the back here somewhere advertised, I would hope. Yeah, Alien Reality. That one's great. And this King in Black one, the King in Black one, which is the last one, that one was good. And this first one was real good too. I would say the best one is the Alien Reality out of all these, but all three of these were pretty solid. This one's being the weakest so far. And then we got some manga here. We got Gantz Omnibus Volume 8. Dark Horse keeps pumping them out, thankfully. A lot of these single volumes of Gantz through Dark Horse were out of print prior to the release of these omnibuses. These are good bang for your buck. They're $24.99 retail US. And you know, you get 3 volumes of the single individual volumes that are in these. So it's definitely worth it. And you know, they're still about the same size, but they're like these thick, you know, paperback manga omnibuses. So I dig them. I like the format. This is a pretty dark at times and you know, fucked up series, I would say. Maybe for some, I'm still digging it. I'm still going along with the story. You know, they're still in the game essentially in this. And you know, you're meeting some new characters in this one, some people that are kind of, you know, pieces of shit, I would say, that you probably normally wouldn't want to associate with outside of this situation that they're all stuck in together being in this game. But yeah, there's, you know, some great action, and you know, it was another solid volume. I do enjoy them. I know it's not for everybody, but yeah, I enjoy every time one of these comes out. And then we got Hell's Paradise Volume 12 by Yuji Kaku, or Hell's Paradise Jigo Kuraku, I guess is the full name of this. I always mess that up. So yeah, this is the second last volume. Number 13 is going to be the last volume of this series. When it's all said and done, I think this is going to be a pretty solid series that I've read here. You know, as I mentioned previously, involving a bunch of samurai and, like, you know, criminals and people that work for the government and shit like that that had to be watching over these prisoners on this island. Like, it's kind of like Island of Dr. Moreau kind of vibes type stuff. This island that they go to and that they find out is a lot of, you know, messed up things are happening on this island, power sources, weird creatures, all kinds of things like that. And basically in this second last volume, there's a lot of you know, shit hitting the fan, people battling it out finally, that we've kind of come to expect from the direction of the story that's been leading to this point in time. So yeah, so it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the last volume and, you know, seeing this series out. So overall, I've enjoyed the ride, and I think it's a pretty solid series that, you know, being a 13 volume series, if you're, you know, if you're interested in checking out a manga for the first time, interested maybe in the sounds of a series like this is a good thing to try out, just because it's not going to be a million volumes, right? So all right, then we got the Deadpool Black, White, and Blood Treasury Edition. So this is the oversized Treasury Edition paperbacks that come out from Marvel. And I read this miniseries in issues, and I decided to pick up it in this format. Now, I wouldn't say, because like all anthology series, everything has that all the stories were great in this, but I will say there was enough great artists that did work on these stories for me to want to own it in this oversized format. So that was the main reason why I picked this up, not because I thought every story was a home run, because it certainly was it. But yeah, let's take a look at some of the art in this one. List off some of the artists. So yeah, we got Phil Noto, David Lapham. Oh, sorry, no, he just wrote that one. Pete Woods, Waltz Pertasio. I mean, when's the last time you've seen him? Leonard Kirk, James Stocco, Daniel Warren Johnson, Paco Medina, Stan Sakai, Martin Kokolo, Hikaru Yusugi, Michael Allred, and Takashi Okazaki. So yeah, some great artists there. Also some people you haven't probably seen in a while. There's Phil Noto here on this one. And not familiar. Who's this one? This one I'm not too sure. This might be Wills Persasio, actually, because it's been a while since I've seen his stuff. No, this is Pete Woods. I didn't think it was. Very cool. Well, maybe it was him. And, oh, well, that's not good. This page just popped off, everybody. Well, can't hide that fact, guys. I opened this book for the first time, and that's what happened. So there you go. Take that as you will, guys. Word to the wise. cautionary kind of tale here. Oh man, that fucking sucks. Okay, well there you go. Just like this guy sucks. James Stokoe, I mean, he's fantastic. I love owning this in this size just for his story, if anything. And as I mentioned, it's a mixed bag in terms of the stories, which ones I liked, which ones I didn't. If you like Deadpool, maybe worth checking out. But mostly I picked this up for the art. And it's not great quality that I'm seeing here with the fact that it's Daniel Warren Johnson's story. He was great too. I love Daniel Warren Johnson's work. Look at that fucking cable gun. Holy the Hulk spinal cord, ripping the spinal cord column out. So yeah, I'm not too pleased with the quality of this book because it just cracked a page off there while I was flipping through it. I had flipped through it before now, and very surprised at that one, guys. Ninjas. All right. So that's my call right at the end here. So, anyways, that all being said, I do, I'll try to repair that, but I don't know what I can do. But be careful of that, guys. And last but certainly not least, for the things that I ended up reading that I picked up this month, Ultimate Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 1, the reprint. I got the Joe Quesada cover here. I'm so happy that they brought this out, everybody. I think I read the material in this omnibus. I think this is the first 40. Let's take a look, guys. It's the first 39 issues, issue 1 to 39 and a half, which I think was like a Wizard issue or something like that. But yeah, this is Brian Michael Bendis's Ultimate Spider-Man, and basically all Mark Bagley in this volume. Ultimate Spider-Man, a series that's beloved by many. I previously had owned some of the complete collection paperbacks, so I believe the first few that I read basically makes up the content in this omnibus, but it has been so long since I read it, and I got rid of that format because they ditched it altogether and they're no longer going to be completing it from what I can tell. They've already solicited the second volume of this omnibus. The first omnibus was out of print. This is the reprint. It's been out of print forever, guys. And they look like they ditched the format altogether. So I hope that they finally complete these omnibus lines of Ultimate Spider-Man and collect the whole series in this format, because I, for one, will be picking them up. So if this is something that's of interest to you, please go and do the same, because those sales will really reflect on whether or not they will continue. But number 1 must have sold well enough because they've already solicited number 2. So that's good news. We got that going for us. But let's just take a look. Let's flip through some of this here, the Mark Bagley art on the Ultimate Spider-Man. But yeah, I reread this. It had been so long, so I felt like I was reading it almost for the first time, even though I think I had read what was collected in here. And it was great. I had a great time reading it. I really loved what I had read of the Ultimate Spider-Man universe. I read all the Miles Morales stuff. That's kind of when I got back into comics, is when Miles Morales became a thing, and I kind of went and checked out this whole Death of Spider-Man event that was happening, and so Ultimate Spider-Man was, it brought me back into comics, essentially, guys, was when I heard that announcement. So I read the end of this series. Never really read any of this stuff prior to, so I really do hope they continue to collect them in the omnibus format, because I would like to own the whole series, have it on my shelves, because yeah, I've heard so many great things, and I've enjoyed all the Miles stuff that came afterwards and the conclusion of this series. So I would like to kind of read all this, and it's great reimagining as Spider-Man as a younger high school student. That's basically the Ultimate Universe, which doesn't exist anymore in comics, but it inspired a lot of the stuff. Basically, a lot of the stuff that you see in the current day Spider-Man movies, it came from the idea of this Peter, this alternate version of Peter, the Ultimate Spider-Man version in this series. So there you have it, guys. So yeah, really looking forward to reading the rest of this. A lot of fun. Great stuff. And I think even for the people that don't like Bendis, I think this is one of the things that most people enjoyed of his. All right, now we're getting into the books that I'll be reading for the first time that I ended up picking up in the month of January 2022. And first up, we got the Avengers Epic Collection Judgment Day. This is a reprint. This was a long out of print Epic Collection that I'm so glad that they reprinted and that I was able to get my hands on, because this takes place during the Roger Stern era on the Avengers, which is apparently one of the best. And I've tried to collect all of the Roger Stern Avengers Epic collections, and a couple of them were out of print. So I'm so happy that they ended up reprinting this and that I own it now in my collection. I'll just show you some of the art, and we can go over which issues are collected in this one. But yeah, this is apparently a really great era of the Avengers, and I'm looking forward to checking that out. So yeah, these epic collections are great bang for your buck. Although I believe, was this one a $45 one? They're starting to charge a little bit more on some of these volumes. I don't know if they've reprinted it at a higher price. Yeah, no, it's a $40 because I think the original printing was $40 as well, $40 US. And this collects 278 to 285 of Avengers Annual 16, Marvel graphic novel 27, Emperor Doom, that I've read actually. X-Men versus the Avengers 1-4, which I've also read, and West Coast Avengers Annual number 2. So there's some stuff I read in here, but the main Avengers issues with Roger Stern, the main series that's in here, I don't think I've ever read. So that'll be a lot of fun to check those out for the first time. So there you have it. Avengers Judgment Day. All right, then we got the Essential Judge Dredd, Dredd versus Death, John Wagner and Brian Boland. And then some other people. We got Alan Grant, Brett Ewins, Cliff Robinson, Robin Smith. So they 2000 AD has been continuing to put out these Essential Judge Dredd paperbacks, which in like size, like let's look at regular size trade paperback for comparison to give you a little bit of a better idea. So yeah, so they're a little bit wider, and they are nice affordable paperbacks, though, collecting some of the best Judge Dredd stories that have been told, I guess, that fans would agree with. And I've been using these releases as my first foray into Judge Dredd. I read the first couple of these that had come out. I really enjoyed what I had read so far. You're not going to get everything. I know they got like those phone book size, like edition black and white kind of paperbacks that are like like the Judge Dredd library, essentially, which is like 30 something volumes of. I haven't collected those just because, like, I heard not all of it's great, and also not all of it's required reading, but also the fact that I'm not convinced I'm as into the character to start collecting all of those library editions that they have, like all of 30 something volumes of them. So this is a nice way to kind of just dabble with a little bit of the best of type stories of his. Now, hopefully the way they're jumping around in these, or the way that they're prepared or put in order or reading order in these volumes, makes it for a good reader experience, and I'm not confused while reading them. So if you're kind of one of these completionists that needs to read them all, maybe this awesome, great Brian Boland art here, maybe these aren't the preferred format or way you would like to check them out. But for someone that just wants to read some of the cream of the crop type stories from what they've compiled here for these Essential Judge Dredd volumes, this is a perfect way for me to kind of test out some stories and read them for the first time. So yeah, I'm happy with it. Essential Judge Dredd, I think they're like 20 something dollars usually. I mean, this goes by the UK price, US 25. So yeah, you'll probably get it for 20 something dollars here. Yeah, very good. And also kind of in the same type of format, a little bit maybe not as wide as the Essential Judge Dredd. Oh no, it's about the same. Yeah, so it's it's exactly the same size. Larger paperback that are collecting the classic EC comics. This is the first volume of Weird Science that has come out. I know that we got some of the other horror ones that came out prior to this. And again, I'm happy that Dark Horse is going back and reprinting these EC comic book library collections, the EC archives, for us, because I'm definitely going to continue to pick these up because the hardcovers are way out of print and expensive. And again, this is just comics. I've heard that the EC comic stuff is some of the best comics of their time, and some of the the best people worked on them. A lot of great talent, right? So so I'm interested in checking these out for the first time. I read some stories out of the first I don't know if it was Tales of the Crypt or one of those type of horror ones that they've already come out with. I believe they've already brought out Haunt of Fear. They've slowly just been bringing out the first volumes, it seems like, of all these titles in the EC archives. And if they continue to bring out a few of these a year, I'll be happy with that. Again, great bang for your buck. These are like $19.99 US price. They're very nicely colored, put together, basically the same format, but just in paperback as opposed to the hardcover. So therefore they're cheaper than the original printings that had come out. Yeah, Haunt of Fear, that's the other one. And yeah, I'm sure like everything, because there's just a bunch of different type of stories here. Like not everyone's going to be great. I do feel it helps, though, to not sit there and read all of them at once, like in a chunk, like you would so many other graphic novels. I think these are better suited just read one or two at a time and then come back and revisit them. I think it reads a lot better that way. And yeah, this is definitely them now going into the science fiction books under the EC Archives imprint, which also I'm sure have, some horror aspects to them as well. But anyways, Weird Science Volume 1, Dark Horse Comics, really enjoy that they're putting these out still in this format. And yeah, it has Weird Science 12 to 15 and 5 to 6. And yeah, there you go. And a couple more omnibuses here before we wrap up. Doctor Strange, Volume 2. Now, the Volume 1 hardcover was all of the Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, Strange Tales stuff. And I think this is now when we start getting into some of the Roy Thomas stuff and Gene Colan stuff and all that kind of stuff through this main series. Yeah, so this is Strange Tales 147 to 168, which will finish up the Strange Tales stuff and then leads into when they changed Strange Tales to Doctor Strange's first ongoing series, which collects 169 to 183. And then you got Avengers 61, Submariner 22, Incredible Hulk 126. If I had to guess, maybe just because of those characters, maybe that's a little bit of the start of the Defenders. Possibly. Oh, yeah. And there you go. Marvel feature number 1, which is Defenders. There you go. So, yeah. You get that in here too. So that's really cool. Let's take a look at some of the art. I will say with this printing, though, the Marvel omnibuses that are like some of the older line stuff, the older comics, they've recently started changing the spines on them, guys. So the writing is now smaller. They list some of these smaller names here, and they also have a strip of art here on the end. And in comparison to the other omnibuses that have the big letters on it, if you line up this omnibus beside the first Doctor Strange printing omnibus, it's going to look a little different, and I'm going to try to get over it for once because I don't have many of these with the spine like that. And I'm going to try not to rebuy the newest printing of Doctor Strange Volume 1 that they just came out with that it matches this spine. So that's right. They have reprinted the Steve Ditko Stan Lee Doctor Strange Omnibus. If you were interested and you have never previously picked it up and you want to pick up the one that's going to look similar in style, the spine to this one, you have your chance there, guys, to do so. But I'm going to try to not buy it again only because of that. So, wish me luck. All right. So let's take a look at some of the art here. Oh, okay. Very nice. Doctor Strange being one of my favorite characters. So I'm really looking forward to reading this for the first time. I read some of the Ditko Lee stuff in the first omnibus. But I'm just at the point where like any of these that they bring out, I'll just pick up. Oh, that's awesome. Living Tribunal. So I'm on board. I also pick up the Epic collections that they come out with the Doctor Strange of this stuff. So very cool. So I'm looking forward to checking this out. That's fucking awesome. Wow. Great art, man. George Tuska. That's awesome. All right, so there you have it. Doctor Strange Omnibus Volume 2. I picked up the beautiful looking Kevin Nolan cover, who's also a Doctor Strange artist. That I can see he was doing some covers on the original 90s series. I love his version of the character, and I already had the modern Ross cover for the first volume of the omnibus. If not, though, I would have probably went with the original kind of the old school artist covers that they put out, which are always very nice. And last but not least, we got X-Men, the Mutant Massacre Omnibus. Again, something I'll be reading for the first time, and my ongoing, completionist kind of move here of trying to have all the Claremont X-Men events and main series omnibus in this format. I picked this up, of course. So the Mutant Massacre one, I believe, also may have been a hardcover at one point, possibly, but I believe this actually has added in some stuff maybe that wasn't in previous printings. Actually, I believe this was already an omnibus. That's right. I think this is a reprint, guys. Sorry. I didn't get there's a Cyclops cover one. No, that's Inferno Prologue, which I just went over. There's another I think this is a reprint. Apologies if I'm getting it wrong. Yeah, it's this cover right here. That's the one. That's the other printing. It has that cover. And if it wasn't an omnibus, then it was a, what do you call it, a oversized hardcover, but I believe it was. Uncanny X-Men 210 to 219, annual 1970, 11, X Factor 9 to 17, annual 2, New Mutants 46, Thor 373, 374, 377, 378, Power Pack 27, Daredevil 238, Fantastic Four versus the X-Men 1 to 4, X-Men versus the Avengers 1 to 4. Yeah, and that's all that's in here. Plus, I think a bunch of great writers and artists, not just Claremont, because it has a bunch of the other series stuff tying into Mutant Massacre in this. Let's take a look at the art though before we wrap up here. A little bit of the art, but yeah, I'm happy to have this this omnibus in my collection with all the rest of my Claremont era X-Men. Only a couple more to go. I think there's it's got to be like a volume 5 and or 6 that has to come out, or some sort of subsequent volume that has a bunch of stuff that they have yet to collect, I guess, in the omnibus format for the Claremont stuff. And I think that's about it. Honestly, I think we're very, very close to having all of the Claremont X-Men era stuff in the omnibus format. So very cool. And, the next volume of that, volume 5, is definitely going to have a spine that has small writing on it. And I'm going to have to suck it up because I have all the other earlier printings. So, because like I said, these ones with the black spines are the older material, like the older omnibus line. That's how they look, right? So I know that's been a big issue for a lot of people in the community, but the nice thing is that they have been making an effort to reprint all the omnibus with the new writing. So if it's going to irk you that much and you got the cash, or you're buying it for the first time, then that's even better for you then, and if that's the case. But yeah, that's kind of the situation we're in, everybody. All right. So that's going to do it for that. There we go. All right. And that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and look forward to the next monthly comic book haul and review to drop sometime in March. And that will be the one for February, as long as I can continue to keep bringing these out on time from now on. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, or hit that notification bell if you want to be notified about when these videos do go out. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you thought about this video. If you have any thoughts on any of the collected editions I showed off, any comments on anything, things you're looking forward to, yeah, let me know. Let's keep the conversation going in the comment section, guys. And if it's your first time coming to our new YouTube channel, the Late Night Collectors Community, once again, I'll be putting out these monthly haul and review videos monthly, as well as our weekly comic book, weekly new single issue review show that I do with my buddy Chris, Comic Shop Talk. And we have a whole bunch of different kinds of content in our playlist here: comic book content, collectible card game content, all in the playlist here on the channel. Definitely check it out, or tell a friend who who may be into this stuff as well. All right, everybody, we'll see you guys next time, and thanks for tuning in.